I might head to West Virginia, hold up in the middle of the winter. Maybe go feel small somewhere upstate. And in her arms, my sanctuary. Now it's truck stops in January. And if I can't go back, taking the long way home.
Welcome to or welcome back to the Sunday Songwriter podcast. Depending on if you caught one of the earlier episodes, we are just beginning this and we appreciate you tuning in. And on this episode, I'm very excited to introduce Mr. Will Overman, who is coming to the Sunday Songwriter series in the Spirit Room on February 1st with Grady Spencer. It'll be both of their first visit to the room. It's first time to get to talk to you. Welcome to the podcast. We're excited to have you as part of the Sunday Songwriter series, and can't wait to get you into Mansfield into the Spirit Room. How are things going for you on this spring-like day in January?
Dude, it's pretty weird here. It's like 70 degrees and humid, and I swear I can like feel the pressure change today. It's bizarre.
It is it's kind of some strange weather. I mean, here in Ohio, I think we're going to get to 62, 63, something like that. Super weird. So
Yeah.
geographically, are you in Virginia? Is that where you are?
I'm based in Nashville. I'm from Virginia. Got
Okay.
family still there. That's basically home for me, but no, I live in Nashville.
Okay. So you're based in Nashville now, and that's where you use as a hub and as you're traveling and taking off on different tours.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great spot to be. It's so central. If I'm going out full band, there's always great musicians here that I can hire and take out, and it's just the workflow of it's pretty hard to beat.
Speaking of the band, I saw you had some shows around the holidays with the full band. Some of those were back at home in Virginia, or what have you had going on here in the last month or so as far as doing shows?
Yeah, that was like the big full band push. Behind my new record called Stranger, and like it was like four shows back home in Virginia, and kind of hometown markets, and it was this kind of homecoming tour, and it wasn't like the only full band run I did all year, but that was the one back home, and it was a blast, man. It was so much fun. So that was the big focus of kind of the end of the fall, and then December's been um, kind of just quiet on my end, getting ready for 2026 because it's going to be a big touring year, and then getting prepped for the Somewhere Upstate Tour. So, um, I've had a lot of time at home, which is nice the past like 5 weeks or so, and now I'm just excited to get back on the road.
So somewhere upstate takes off in the next couple of weeks. We're talking right now. For those of you lost in the time capsule of podcast nature, we're talking in the first week of January, basically first week and a half of January, and then you're here in Mansfield, Ohio, on February 1st. Where does that start? When does that start? What's that routing look like?
Yeah, it starts a week from today, which is a Thursday, in Richmond, Virginia, on the 15th of January. And the first few dates are either me solo or I'm with a band called The Last Bison out of Virginia. And it's Richmond, another Virginia date. Then I go to DC and go down to North Carolina and Wilmington, which is always nice. Whenever I play Wilmington, I get to see my mom down there. So get to catch up with her. And then I join up with Grady Spencer and we head north to New England and hit a whole bunch of markets up there. And then from there, dude, we're just kind of all over the Midwest. We're coming to see you guys. And there's not a ton of rhyme or reason after that. It's just hitting the country.
I think Grady said he was meeting up with you in New York, is what it sounded like when I talked to him earlier this week. You mentioned DC. I'm interested in, I don't know a whole lot about the music scene of DC. I was there for work last summer, and wandered around a little bit. And it seems to be, in the city proper, in the capital, it seems to be a little odd as far as what type of music you can catch or what the scenes are. Maybe I just don't know what it is, but what's the music scene like in DC? Is that something that you are a regular to, or is this a first time?
Not a first time. The DC music scene is definitely interesting. It's got a storied past. I mean, it's got a huge metal heritage. It's got a huge African American music scene. But I think a lot of that's kind of been pushed out to the fringes because, like you're saying, you walk around downtown DC and you're like, this does not feel like a thriving music scene because it's so dominated by government. Um, so it's interesting. DC, I've had some great shows there, and I've had some terrible shows there. I feel like you can have shows like I'm hoping this when we're playing, it's gonna be a house show, and I bet it's gonna be a great crowd who are gonna be really locked in and really gracious. But I've played some shows like on Pennsylvania Avenue that are packed, but everyone is just there as like a social occasion. And they're all, they work for a credit card company down the street, or they work for some think tank, and they're there to kind of posture and show off. And it's just a bizarre market because, like I said, you can have a great show, or you can have a show where people don't even really know you're playing, and you're like, why are you here? So I'm looking forward to this one. Should be a nice intimate house show.
I was there for work and I stayed in DuPont Circle and kind of wandered around that area and stumbled into a show and it on like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. But you, like you said, it was clear that everyone had kind of come right off of Capitol Hill, still had jackets on, and they come right out of work and rolled into the bar, and there just happened to be music going on, and that was just that one. I'm sure there are very there are spots that are dedicated to music and it's a little bit different, but that's an interesting scene I'd like to venture out into a little bit more and see what that's all about.
Yeah.
uh let's talk about the new album. So new album's out. What is this? What number album is this? What Tell me about how it came about, and how you put the musicians together. Tell us a little bit about how you built this new release.
Yeah, so it's my second solo record. I put out a record called The Winemaker's Daughter back in 2021, I believe. And I put out a record with a band before that was called Will Overman Band. It was kind of my college band. And I since then have released now two records. This record's called Stranger that I put out back in September. And the story behind it, man, it's not a divorce record. But I was going through a divorce at the time of the recording and the writing process. So, you know, I'm a pretty hard on my sleeve songwriter. I couldn't really get away from a lot of that, and I felt like it would be kind of disingenuous if I didn't address some of those things. So I think more so like an overarching kind of coming of age record. I wrote it in my late 20s, on the backside of COVID, and my music career wasn't exactly where I thought I was going to be. When I was thinking about being a touring musician when I was 17, and my marriage didn't work out, and all these things that I thought were just going to pan out in my life weren't panning out, and that's just the way life goes sometimes. And I think this record addresses a lot of that. There's a lot of like frustration, um, but there's a lot of like seeking gratitude, I think, throughout the course of the record, which was where my headspace was. It was me, being really upset with the way things were going. But through that, realizing, just how good I had it at the same time. So I think overall, it's kind of a coming of age record. I wrote a lot of it when I was back home in Virginia Beach. Short story long, but basically when my marriage started falling apart, I moved back home to Virginia Beach, where I'm from Nashville. And, I left there when I was 18, didn't plan on going home. But I found myself living in my dad's house for a year and sleeping on an air mattress and watching all my friends from high school like get dogs and get married themselves and move up in life. And I was at my pops, and I was like, man, I don't know if I'm making the best life choices. And that's where a lot of the songs came from, was like that time. So it's kind of this beautiful thing where I had to go all the way back to the beginning, all the way back home to kind of start over again. And, ultimately came out the backside of that. Just so thankful for my family and my home where I grew up, and just to be able to land there and figure it out. And yeah, that's the record. The cover was shot on the beach in Virginia Beach, and a lot of it comes from that time in my life.
There's definitely some storytelling that goes on in this album. One of the things I really like about some of the stories in here is as a listener, you get pieces and parts, and you leave out details that are up to me to decide what actually happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah, man, absolutely.
I love the way those songs are crafted. Obviously Somewhere Upstate is one of the tracks here, the title of the tour. And then I really enjoyed Virginia is for Lovers, and some really good stories on this album that I'm excited to hear in person when we get you here in Mansfield. Are the is the band that you use are those all musicians from Nashville? Are they musicians that you've worked with for a long time, or a mixture of both? How's the band made up?
It's a mixture of both. I mean, I think these days I'm doing like 80 to 90% solo touring, like on the Somewhere Upstate Tour. Um, but when I'm out with the band, I've got it's a mix. So I've got a couple guys from Virginia that I've played hundreds of shows with at this point in time, starting back in like 2019. And then as I moved to Nashville, my Rolodex has gotten a little deeper, and I've got some guys here that I've added. So it's always kind of a mix. I feel like I usually have a drummer and a bass player from Virginia. So my rhythm section's from Virginia, and these are the guys I've known forever, which is really nice. And it gives me a lot of confidence on the road to go out with the rhythm section who knows my material as well as they do, so that when I add lead guys and keyboard players and stuff, I know the foundation of the songs will be rock solid. So it's kind of ever changing. I think that's one of the trickiest parts of being, a smaller independent solo artist is you're just trying to figure out, who can you afford, what can you afford. Um, like a lot of the tracks on this record, I would love to have a 5 or 6 piece band, but it's hard to bring, excuse me, a 5 or 6 piece band on the road. So, a lot of it's just finding the right guys who can nail the arrangements and who can take what I made in the studio and in their heads be like, okay, how can we do that with 4 pieces on the road? And luckily there are a lot of great musicians out here who can do that.
So speaking of taking that, 4 or 5 pieces on the road, how do you determine if you're gonna go solo or if you're gonna take a full band? I mean, is it the distance of the tour or the venues you're playing, or is it just opportunity? How do you when you go throughout the year and you're scheduling your travels, how do you make those decisions, number one? And then I totally lost the second question. Maybe I'll come back. Maybe I'll remember it while you're
No,
answering that.
no, that's a good question. So I think it's kind of a two-pronged way to think about it. First off, it's the money. If the guarantees are there, usually I can go full band tour if there's a guarantee involved. The Virginia run I just did was ticket sales. Um, but that gets really risky. It cost me around $1,200 to put a band on stage every night. So if I'm not getting guarantees, I'm not going to cover that overhead. I am losing money. So a lot of it comes down to just what the overhead's going to be, and then what the revenue is going to be. Um, like a lot of times you'll have a great series of kind of like public concerts put on by municipalities. I did that last summer. We were out in Colorado, and Fort Lewis College puts on a series out there, and there's a great guarantee, and they're able to support full band coming out all that way, and stuff like that can make an anchor for a run. And I do that a lot during the summer, where it's like if I can get 1 or 2 shows with higher guarantees, I can then build a run around it where I can take some more risk around those shows. So that stuff usually works out for full band. Then the other factor I consider is like, what are the talent buyers looking for? Is it this Fort Lewis College thing out in Colorado where it's going to be 1,200 people who want to dance and party and have a good time? Then I need a full band. Is it playing the Outer Banks in North Carolina? And same thing, folks are bringing lawn chairs and want to boogie and they're looking for like a rock and roll show. I need a band. But, if I'm playing smaller 50 to 150 cap rooms across the country that are listening rooms, I can put on a great show that's going to be different, granted, but a great show that's just me. And my overhead is much, much lower.
The second question was going to be how many shows are you playing the year right now?
I think in 26, we're aiming for at least 100. I
Okay.
think we're going to be around there. I think last year was 70, but it's been for the past 5 years, it's been like anywhere from like 60 to like 80. But I think this year we're going for like 100.
That's a solid number. It depends on how far, I guess, how far you're going and how long your runs
Sure,
are. But
sure.
yeah, I think that's 100 120 shows get you back home. for a couple weeks throughout the year, around the holidays.
Dude, there's some guys out there like BJ Barham, American Aquarium. That dude, his numbers are insane. Like I don't know when he sleeps. It's crazy. So if I can hit 100 this year, man, I'll be really stoked.
Uh, I'm excited that you brought American Aquarium up because you're not going to be surprised by this. I discovered American Aquarium on Twitter maybe a decade ago. That's
Okay.
that's how I found out about them. I use Twitter for something completely different, but somehow he showed up in my feed. They were very active on Twitter,
Yeah.
which is an
Yeah.
unusual place for musicians, and fell in love with the band. Followed it. I still haven't seen them. I mean, it's been over a decade that I've been following them, and I haven't had the chance to see if they've come to Ohio. He's been here solo. Still haven't made it happen, and I that's on my list. I want to make that happen.
Man, you're trying to see him. I've been trying to open up for him for years. So maybe we can
Let's
correlate that and we'll
let's
get
make it
together.
to
Yeah.
see if I can make that happen. Let's do it right here in Mansfield. Have both of you.
I would love that.
That's awesome. Um, So one of the other things I've followed you. I was stalking you on social media so that I could know you when you got here.
Oh
To
yeah.
to be honest, I noticed you went home around the holidays. It looks like you are uh, somewhat of an outdoorsman. I grew up in the South, and well, I mean I'm here in Ohio, and I I enjoy hunting and fishing. I've got boys that two boys and two girls that they all love to be outside. So I saw you got the chance to do a little bit of both of those around the holidays. Is that something you grew up doing, or something you fell in love with later in life?
So I've always been an outdoorsman. I grew up, like I said, in Virginia Beach, and I was lucky, so lucky to be like a mile from the ocean. So I surfed a ton as a kid. The ocean was just always there, and then 4 hours away in Virginia are the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I kind of spent basically I grew up next to the ocean, and then when I turned 18, I lived in the mountains. So I kind of came of age in the mountains, and both those places are a huge, huge part of who I am. Um, and so it was like surfing and just being in the ocean growing up. And then my dad and we started hiking and camping and backpacking together when I was really young. And that evolved into like a huge obsession with backpacking to the point that when I graduated high school, I through hiked the Appalachian Trail. And my dad had planned to join me, but when push came to shove, he's like, I can't take 6 months off work. But he supported me throughout it. He would join me all the time. My mom would be like drying fruits and veggies in the garage, and they would basically be like my support team back at home. And so I did that when I was 18, and I mean, since then, man, I've tried to be outside as much as I can. It's always kind of evolving, and I always wanted to fly fish, and over COVID, I had those sweet, sweet government checks coming in, and I was like, let me go get some fly gear. So I ended up getting like all my fly stuff. I got a rod, I got waders. I just got like my bag and everything, and I started fly fishing in 2020, and I'm obsessed with it. Like I love it so much. I go as much as I can. Um, I've figured out enough now to get pissed when I don't catch fish, but I also know that like I'll never master it, and it's one of the hardest things I've ever done. So if it takes me outside for 8 hours and I'm in the sun and I'm in a river and I'm learning, like it's a great day. Um, but then as far as hunting goes, that's been kind of an interesting journey because I was born in North Carolina and was there till I was 7. And I my dad got me a lifetime hunting license, and he hunted a ton growing up, and he got into hunting through my grandpa, my mom's side, and basically like I would go out with him when I was like 5, 6 years old, sit on the bucket and try and be quiet for 4 hours. And I'd go hunt with my grandpa when I moved to Virginia a little bit. We'd go like squirrel hunting and stuff, but I kind of just like because of life fell away from it until I was 30. And I was like, why do I not hunt? This is crazy. I want to go hunting. Been around it my whole life. So at 30, I was like, we're going hunting. We're doing it. My dad had been getting back into it more. And that's when I shot my first deer. I was 30. I'm 32 now. So it's like I've been around hunting all my life, but only the past couple of years have I gotten back into it. And I could sit in a tree stand for like 35 days and just not say anything. It's great.
I 100% agree with you on that. I could just sit out there. I have gone out there, not to hunt, but just to sit.
It's great.
It is.
Yeah.
I I took the worst shot of my entire life last week with a compound bow. I haven't taken a shot at a deer in a very long time, probably 20 years,
Yep.
because of the same, like um, I took off on my music journey and didn't, just, I wasn't home. I wasn't, I moved around a lot and just didn't hunt, got away from it for a long time. And
Yeah.
then, I had my boys and I wanted to teach them and landed here in Ohio. And, so we started hunting and, last week, so long story short, I haven't even taken a shot because I've had them. It was I took them out for an opportunity for them to get a shot. And
Yeah.
the other day, last week, it was really cold one day and I couldn't get them to go. And I said, well, I'm going. And if I get a shot, I'm taking a shot. And I took it. And it was very clear that I had not shot my bow at a 10-point buck in a very, very long time. My eyeballs were pulsating with my heartbeat. All I could hear was my heart beating, and
Oh yeah.
I completely blew it, man. Completely blew it. I felt like I was 12 years old.
Man, I did the same thing the first day this past season. I was like, I think I was 3 days in, and I had seen like some really small does walk past and stuff. And I was, I'm all about, saving next year's deer and letting them grow. But it'd been like 3 days of that, just sitting there and like watching really small deer walk by. And like the third day came along and I saw it was a shot, dude, that like I would not have hit in a million years if I was like Chris Kyle. And dude, it was so far away, but I was like, oh, that's a pretty sizable deer. That's definitely harvestable. And I took the shot, dude. I think I missed by a mile. It's one of those where it's like, I would like to fire my gun. I would like to fire this weapon.
I literally found my arrow leaning up against a tree. It somersaulted across the ground.
Didn't even stick.
It didn't even get to the deer. The tree that it was leaning up against was between me and where the deer was standing.
That's awesome. That's where you got to come back and tell your boys, like, yeah, no, epic day, epic day. I could have gotten it if I wanted to.
My oldest son missed one last year and he was mortified. And I said, "Look, man, it happens." He was like, it was
Yeah.
too far away. You told me to take the shot. It's your fault." I'm like, "No, man, come on. Don't blame this on me." But so anyway, I came in and I told him, I was like, "Look, I shot," and he was standing right in front of my trail camera, so it's all on camera.
Oh, okay. I love it. I love it.
Anyway, uh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. We've got a couple more weeks of the season here. I don't think that buck is coming back to my
You
area.
guys have some big deer up there,
That
from what
was
I've
the
gathered.
biggest deer I've seen from the stand in 5 years, and
Wow.
I don't know where he came from. I did not expect to see him that day, uh,
Yeah.
which was which was the reasoning for.
You're like, give me some
I,
practice,
I
man.
totally blew it.
I love
Um,
it.
awesome. I could talk about that stuff all day long. Sorry, I didn't mean to
Oh,
be,
dude, me too.
but it was something
No,
I
no, I
wanted.
love it, man.
I speaking of backpacking and hiking, I just early this morning, one of those Facebook things popped up was like, uh, I had said something about hiking or being outside, and it was telling me about this trail called the Chapel Trail up in Michigan, and then I went down a rabbit hole, and it's like a 7 or 8 mile loop around and by the lake up in Michigan. So that's something I was like, I'm doing that this summer. It's something I
Yeah.
can do with my kids, in a day. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm interested in getting out with my kids now that they're old enough to actually go on hikes and they can sustain it. I always wanted to do the AT. I've done some small segments of it. I went to school in North Georgia at University of Georgia, so I
Yeah.
wasn't far away. Um,
Dude,
and
North Georgia and Blood Mountain, all that, it's stunning.
yeah,
It's I love I was blown away. Like I didn't, I grew up in Virginia, so I knew Shenandoah extremely well. I knew the Carolina mountains, but when I got to North Georgia, I was like, no one talks about this.
yeah.
It's beautiful.
Chimney Rock is that area is my favorite spot in the entire country. That corner of North Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee,
Hmm.
all of that. Um, that is the most beautiful place, some of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And I've told my wife, it's like that's where I want to end up. I want to get back there at some
Yeah,
point.
I'm
Uh,
right there with you, man. I got my butt kicked in that area because Hurricane Sandy hit when I was hiking. Like basically, I had just got in the Smokies. I was going north, and Sandy hit and dumped like 4 feet of snow in the
oh
Smokies,
man,
and I had to get off trail. I'd like get off trail and reroute, and it was crazy, man. I walked through snow for like 11 days. It's brutal.
that that does sound
It was
brutal.
insane. It was
I,
insane, dude. Yeah.
I'm at the age where I struggled to get to the mailbox in the snow.
Oh, it sucked. I was 18 and like made a piss of vinegar, but I was still like, I'm tired of being cold and wet.
I'm at the point where if there's 4 to 6 inches of snow on the ground, I send a kid. Can you go get the
Nice,
mail?
nice. Good luck. Take provisions.
Put your hat on. Um, awesome. So, back to the music. We're gonna run out of time here in a few minutes. But I am extremely excited to have you and Grady here in the spirit room. One of the things that we work really hard to do is give you a stage, right? Our goal in the spirit room is to be an attentive audience, and we can't wait to hear your stories and have you back for the first time. This is our second or third. We're starting our third year, I think, and I've got some artists that are calling and saying they want to come back through, and we hope we develop that relationship with you. Um,
Heck yeah.
and we can get you through. Maybe we can figure out a way to get you with American Aquarium and get a little bit bigger of a show, bigger venue in the
Let's
area.
manifest it.
Yeah,
I'm all about it.
I have to fight for that Columbus market. I'm a little bit outside of Cleveland. I'm about halfway between, but um, I have to fight when I'm trying to get those bigger acts. I have to fight with that
Yeah.
Columbus market because they just have the natural ticket sales. And it's
Oh
a
yeah, I get it.
little harder for me to get them.
Yeah. No, I'm so grateful for folks like y'all in locations that you are because, you know, for someone like me going into a Columbus, sometimes if there's other stuff going on, it's really tough to pull. So having the markets between like Mansfield, it's at least for my size, I love it. It's great. I often can connect to more people too, I feel like when I come through spots like yours.
Yeah, and you have the chance. There's not so many people that you can't hang out at the merch table or the back, the door, or the
Yeah.
bar, and have a conversation because that's really the audience wants to hear your stories from the stage, but then when you have that kind of intimate setting, then they feel like they know you, uh,
Oh,
and
totally.
and they can just stand there and have a conversation with you, which is the truth. That is the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, and at this point I have like too many songs about fly fishing, but it's allowed for a lot of great conversations at the merch table with folks coming up and being like, "Oh man, next time you're through, we should fish this area," or just sharing stories like you and I've been doing. And I love that, man. Like I love music. I've devoted my life to it, but I talk a lot about music. And I talk a lot about myself. So if I can talk about fishing or anything that's not just music related, it's a good time for me.
Well, this is a very outdoors area. There's fly fishing nearby. So yeah, this might be a regular stop now for you.
I love it, man. Well, we're gonna talk for 4 hours now, but I have some really good friends in Morrow, and I stay with them all the time. I'll be staying with them, I think, either right before or right after I play for y'all. And my buddy Mark, he's kind of been like a fly fishing mentor for me. He's taken me out all over the place. And last June, I think, we drove just over the border into Indiana and went fishing for the white bass out there.
Okay.
And it was a real slow day. The river was kind of blown out, but we caught a couple. And like, I don't even, I've never seen those fish in Virginia. It was awesome. And I've never fished. It was like a kind of a muddy sand bottom river that we were wading in. It was bizarre. It was cool as hell.
Yeah, it's coming from moving up here from Georgia, it's completely different. I mean I grew up hunting dove and uh just and fishing for catfish and brim, what we call them. You come up
Yeah.
here and you're like, do you have I grew up fishing for brim. They're like, what do you mean brim? What's that? It's
What do
just
they call them up there?
different. I mean, it's mainly crappie or
Oh,
panfish, you
okay.
know, just
Yeah.
different. Just, you know,
Yeah.
and then that may be, you know, county to county, it may be a little bit different.
Sure.
Which there are, you know, obviously there are bass and catfish and most of the
Yeah.
stuff, but it is a little bit different. You know, the fowl hunting here is completely different. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I never thought about hunting geese growing up in South Georgia. It just wasn't,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
wasn't a thing. And here there's very few dove or quail. There's some quail, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's different geography, different ways, uh, different ways of being outdoors, different things to do.
Oh
So,
yeah.
all right, we're almost out of time, man. I really appreciate you coming on. Like I said, I had the chance to record with Grady earlier in the week, and if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't heard that one, go back and check that one out because both Will and Grady will be together on the stage in the Spirit Room. I'm excited that I found your music. I was telling Grady that he was on my radar. I'd already looked at trying to get Grady booked, but Texas is a little bit different than Virginia or Nashville when you're looking at coming to
Yeah.
Ohio. And
Yeah.
when I was booking you, they said, "Well, what if what if Grady Spencer came with him?" And I was like, "I was just thinking about figuring out how to get Grady." So we got 2 for 1.
Oh heck yeah. Perfect.
Second time in a couple years that's happening. That's happened.
Oh nice.
Yeah, I booked Josh Morningstar, and I had been trying to figure out how to get in touch with Cass Jones, and literally they showed up together.
Oh,
It's like, wait, hey, 2 for 1.
two birds, one stone. I love it. That's great.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time to come on the podcast today, Jason. Writing and the outdoors when you're
Yeah,
here,
man. Absolutely.
and I'm excited for you to meet the crowd and see the room. It's gonna be a lot of
Cool.
fun.
Sounds good, man. Well, I appreciate you having us, and thanks for the conversation, man. I really appreciate it.
To West Virginia, holed up in the middle of the winter. Maybe go feel small somewhere upstate. And in her arms, my sanctuary. Now it's truck stops in January. And if I can't go back, taking the long way home. There goes a lazy desert where I told you that I loved you.